Welcome to Vivi's Chess. Today I bring to you a beautiful Colle System game played between me and Vladimir Bushkarin. Uh, so let's get started right away. So I start with d4, d5, knight f3, bishop f5, e3, and this gets us started with the Colle System. e6, bishop to d3, offering an exchange of the bishop. Note that if bishop takes bishop, then our queen comes to a nice sweet attacking square. So we develop the queen with a tempo. Bishop to g4. My opponent probably likes to keep his bishop, so he just moves the bishop, but then he has already moved the bishop twice, once from its home to f5 and now to g4. Okay, so that's not good for black. We continue chasing the bishop. Now bishop has to move for the third time, which is really bad for black. Okay, so the game continues. Bishop takes f3. So at last my opponent decides to give away the bishop instead of moving it for the third time, and probably my attack will continue on the bishop even if he does so. So he goes ahead and takes my knight. So there is an exchange. Queen takes f3, knight f6, knight d2, bishop to b4. Yet again, um, this is a good development move. While pinning my knight also prepares black to castle. So we have a good response here. c3 chasing the bishop. So bishop has to move again. Bishop to a5, short castle, c6. c6, thereby liberating the queen. Rook to e1, knight b d2, e4. So this is the typical Colle system move where once we are done with our setup, we push the e4 pawn at the right moment to start an attack. Note that we have a beautiful coordination here. All our pieces are staring at the king side. We have uh, two bishops, queen, uh, the rook, and this knight will soon join the party. Okay, my opponent plays h6. We continue with e5. Um, so here there is a move. So if Vladimir Mushkarin uh, had wanted, he could have exchanged this pawn. So if the exchange happens, the game would have proceeded. So let's say go back. Knight takes pawn, and typically most players at this level would go ahead and take the knight, which gives again a nice queen bishop battery, stopping the short castle for black. So this is not so good for black, although this is probably the best continuation, which gives a sensible rating which the computer likes as well. Okay, so let's go back to h6 in the game. Um, e5, kicking the knight. The knight doesn't have any good square to go through, so this is taken, this is taken, this is taken. So either the knight has to go here or here. These are the only two squares for the knight at the moment. So knight chooses to go back. So knight g8. So our plan is to reroute the knight to f1 and then to g3. Queen to e7. So our knight comes to g3. At some point of time, we would like the knight to go to h5 and then attack to g7. So b5. Um, this looks like a mistake. Um, So when there is a lot of attack happening on this side, I was expecting black to prepare now to castle on the long side. Now, if you have to castle on the long side, there must be protection for the king, so it's not a good idea to push the pawn from this side. So now this practically means that the king is never going to castle in this game and it's going to sit wherever it is, which is good for white. And you can see computer already gives a plus 5.41 to white. We continue with an attack on the bishop. This bishop has to move. There is and move back. In fact, and this also from stops the queen from entering, or this also solidifies the control over the c5 square. So the knight cannot jump in there. Um, so we're just sealing everything on the queen side. So bishop goes back to b8. Now you can already see black's pieces are all returning back to its squares, and there's nothing really happening from the black side. So we continue developing our pieces. Queen goes to g4, g6, further weakening the king side by black. All right, so this is a nice place to pause the video and see what would you have played here. I went knight h5. The idea being black cannot actually capture this knight. So if black captures the knight, if g cross h5, then we have queen g7, which is really nasty for black. This rook cannot move anywhere. There is no support whatsoever. Queen cannot come to support it because this square is controlled by our pawn and our queen. So there is practically nothing much white can do here. Okay, so knight to h5, a5. So black is desperately trying to do something by getting some activity on the queen side. A3, just solidifying our pawn structure there. Uh, a cross b4, c cross b4, and now note that because we had done the a3, now our pawn is solid and queen cannot do an um, uh, queen cannot enter our area now. Okay, a final mistake from Vladimir Mushkirin. He wants to exchange the queen. A queen exchange would probably give him some hopes to stay in the game. We continue with knight g7 check, king f8, uh, knight takes e6 check, um, sacking the knight. Um, we have a lot of firepower here, so so it's all right to sack the knight over here. um, f takes e6, and then queen comes in. A very scary situation for black. Okay, queen rushes to give some support to king, queen to e7, and we start grabbing the pawns. Queen takes c6. Note that this pawn is very essential for black. It's supporting a whole lot of pieces there. Um, and now rook b8. Finally, we add one more piece to our attack, rook e3, a rook lift. g5, saving the pawn, but who cares for the pawn? We go for the king, rook f3 check. Now the king is almost mated, doesn't have many good squares to go. King g7, and the mate follows with queen g6. Okay, what would have happened if king had moved to e8? So king e8 invites bishop g6 check, and there is no good response. Once again, the queen has to come on the way, and we get the queen and we win the game. So I hope you enjoyed this game. Colle System gives plenty of opportunities to attack. If you are a player who loves uh, sharp attacking games, then Colle System is probably for you. Most people say Colle System is not played at higher levels, at top levels. But if you are a player like me in the 1500 range, and if you like such fireworks, then I'm sure you would enjoy the Colle System. Bye bye.